In Diablo 2, there's a lot of mechanics and items and spells and recipes, etc. So when you're trying to figure something out or learn more about the game, it can get pretty complicated pretty fast, especially since there's so many sources of information and some of them oddly conflicting. So today we're going to cover my primary resources I use when doing anything from theory crafting a build to cross-checking my memory and making notes for video summaries and guides you see on this channel. First up, while a bit cumbersome, there have been a lot of forums around the internet that have provided useful information, research, and guides over the years, from Diablo2.net to Lurker's Lounge to even D2JSP and everything in between. And a lot can be learned from digging deep into the archives of the still existing sites that can be found laying around. The major catch, though, is that there's also a lot of misinformation in these, and even a lot of outdated stuff, so take any topics with a grain of salt, and be sure to read the replies and check the dates. I personally don't like using these as sole resources, but there are a lot of things here that can spark ideas for your next build, or steer you in the right direction for choosing a weapon, or even helping you figure out terms you should be looking for on more verified sources. You would think Reddit would fit a similar need, but not really. You can get answers to questions there, but there's really not the deep repository of information that can be found elsewhere due to the age of the game. Speaking of more verified sources, for basic information, items, crafting, etc., there's not really any better source than Blizzard's official guide, Ariat Summit. There's a wealth of information to be found here, and I personally find it to be one of the easiest to navigate sources, or the basic information at least, if I'm just looking for an item idea to fit a build, or needing to remember a recipe that my flatulent brain has forgot. This is generally going to be the place I send people first if they're new to the game as well. It's essentially a more detailed game manual that has even some more intricate details involved in it. For more complicated information, my go-to is the Amazon Basin, or more precisely the Amazon Basin Wiki, because the forums are frankly a ghost town. This is your one-stop shop for most of the more technical and quirky information about Diablo 2, and if you happen to find that the wiki is down, there have been a few of us that have been doing what we can, basically to flag the stuff for backup on the Wayback Machine, so don't be afraid to check the Internet Archive if the lights are off on the wiki this week. The runner-up in terms of wikis is probably going to be DiabloWiki.net, though the big advice for that one is make sure the page you're looking at is the right one for your game version, since they do maintain content from various versions, for better or for worse. Last but not least are the calculators. The two main ones I use are the increased attack speed calculator that recently moved homes but has been archived a few places, and the Silas Spend calculator that definitely has its flaws and actually has some incorrect information, but will still generally get you moving in the right direction for items you're looking for. There are calculators for everything from lower cuirass drops to skill build calculators, though I generally don't use them enough to even keep them bookmarked. You might be able to find some useful ones floating around, especially on Reddit. All that said, you will find links to all of my main sources down below, not the side ones because that would get a bit superfluous, and for the most part they should still be just as useful when Diablo 2 Resurrected releases, since they're not changing the core mechanics, and it's based on the current version of the game as well. So if you found this useful, hit that like button so more people can find it, and if you want more Diablo 2 content, stick around because I will be making plenty more videos with this information.